So today, TDMS, we have a great friend of mine. Everybody kind of knows that I was an Eagle Scout. If you don't, I was an Eagle Scout in Troop 1650. And this guest I have today is Orlan Wilson. He was my senior patrol leader. He's an Eagle Scout himself. We're bringing him to the show. TDMS is going to talk to Orlan. Mr. Orlan, introduce yourself, buddy.
Thank you so much. I am Orlan Wilson, as he said. People call me OB as well for short. I'm Eagle Scout on Troop 1650, number 5. So that is who I am. And I always put the connection. I'm also the son of William E. and Al Walter T. Wilson, which is always important to know because that's where we start from.
This is true. So when I joined the troop, I can't even remember the year. The first scoutmaster I had was your dad, Mr. Wilson. And man, he had this green fatigue. Nobody else had the green scoutmaster outfit like he did. I said, man, he must be the original because I couldn't find that color green he had, man.
That was my dad. He was as you said, is a person who loves scouting, but at that time he was really out there. He wants to help build great men, and that was just so important to him. In addition to his sons, I have an older brother, but that's what he was about. And he loves it. He still loves it, but he just unfortunately cannot move like he used to. So
Right, right. So he was the first scoutmaster that I saw. I was coming back to DC about 2 or 3 months ago. Went to the church, St. Timothy's, just to peek in there, and he was still there. They said, "Mr. Wilson's in the basement." And I said, I'm scratching my head. I said, "You mean Conan?" They were like, "No." And I said, "No way." I ran down to the basement, and sure enough, Orland, they were down there. Mr. Dorsch, tall guy. They
Horn,
were,
Mr. Horn, probably.
oh, yeah, they were, man, and it was like I just went back in time. It smelled the same. Our little scoutmaster room, scout meeting room. They were down there, man. It just took me back, and I was, like I say, I was telling you earlier, my soul needed that, man.
I mean, it is that getting together and coming back for us and seeing the Eagle Scouts and seeing the Scout area. I think was uplifting for everyone because it reminds you of a place that we all grew and learned to be great men through the teamwork, through the not building, through the camping, and just through the fun. I mean, we had a ball. I mean,
We
they were
did.
tough, but we had a ball on those adventures we took with these great fellow scouts, but also these leaders such as my father.
That's right. Your father. I mean, I learned so much from this. So the event was a troop closing. The troop had not had enough participation. So after I forgot how many years, but they finally decided to close the scout troop, and we had a ceremony in December. And as many of the scouts could come back, we did. We came and we fellowshipped and brotherhood. We were all connected a bit, and it was a great time. Now, this is going to be all over the place on this conversation,
Sure,
but
no
t-
problem.
tell me how long your family, the Wilsons in DC, how long were you guys there?
Oh wow! I mean that's a darn good question.
Okay.
My family has been in Washington D.C. since about 19. My brother was born this year, so I mean it's been like 19 end of the 50s.
Okay.
That's when my parents met at Howard University. So Howard University, that the Mecca that's in Washington D.C., was that connection for where my mother and father met in a mission line with my dad and his booming voice talking about something, and my mother saying, "Who is this loud guy in
Yeah.
this mission line?"
Yeah.
And that's how they met. And
Right.
this loud guy made his move, but
Yeah.
the loud guy in mission line at Howard University, they met, and then the rest goes on to you know comes on very fast to being us being in
Yes.
Southeast Washington
Yeah.
on Good Hope Road, and then moving to the family house, which is where my dad, amen, is still there.
Yes. Oh man, amazing. So Southeast DC, it's hard to describe the mayor Barry. People might be familiar with the mayor. His house in the 80s was across street from where we used to hold our scout
Mhm.
meetings. And I guess Mayor Barry in the 70s was very influential, kind of ending at the civil rights era, Chocolate City,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
jobs to DC, and like you were saying, Howard University. There's so much history, lineage, and community in the DC area. Southeast has a long history from politics to violence to great communities, sports, you name it. But in this pocket of Southeast, we had a number. The plaque behind you is half of the plaque of Black Eagle Scouts that
Exactly.
came out of Southeast in the 80s when DC was the murder capital.
It
Um, yeah, it was violent. It was we had crack cocaine in
drugs.
our
Yeah.
in our community, and the Wilson family uh, was there from your dad to Conan to you, your sister, your mom. Um, in this mecca, the Scouts was such a place for young people like myself to go to avoid some of these trips and tricks and delays in development and some of this violence, particularly. Southie was rough, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, as we people would say, our old friends would say, you're living in a pocket of DC. You know, I lived in Hillcrest, which is close to the church. Next to one side we'll call to shoot them, and unfortunately, the other side we call to stab them. So it was a very rough kind of corner. And then we had this oasis, as I would call the Troop 1650 or Packing Troop 1650, that brought all these gentlemen together. I mean, some of the gentlemen, as we both know, their history was a little rough now. You know, they were really rough around the edges, but when it came together, these leaders helped us grow together, work together, be a team together, and grow to be great men. And as you said, we came together for, fortunately, the closing, but it also was an inspirational point for us to say, these are the other men who were Eagle Scouts. These are other men who accomplished something that it's a small percentage of young men or young people across the board anyway, let alone the number of blacks who got Eagle Scout. That number, I forget whether somebody said 1% or 2%. Very small number. And the
Right.
fact that Troop 1650 has this number of guys who did that was a wonderful thing. As you said, even though my dad was the leader, I learned from all the great leaders, whether it was Mr. Horn, Mr. Brewster, Mr. Coleman, Mr. Copeland.
Yeah.
There were all these great leaders who just want to help us however they could. I mean, whether it's the camping trips, whether it's night time, whether it's team building, how do you work with somebody? I mean, some of us were not the best at working with somebody until 1650 taught us the skill set that you have to communicate, you have to team build, you have to be great men, and you have to need these in whatever your profession is, whether it is, you're a doctor, you're a scientist, you are somebody who works in sanitation. You need these skill sets. And Troop 1650 was priceless for all of us, including me, to
Yeah.
gain those things.
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, I 100% agree with you. I don't quite remember, but I'm going to say like 9, 10 years of age. I think I got into it.
Okay.
At that time, you had to. I think 11, you could become a Boy Scout.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you're correct.
right. So that's where, for me, guys. That's where I met the first Eagle Scout up there, and then number two, and then the three. But Orlan, Orlan was just like he's talking and sounding now, he was that at a teenager. He he would Orland to you, man. You were Ob was such a man and I I'm still this kind of casual guy and I've had fun, but the leadership that these leaders gave and showed to empower you. So the Boy Scouts our leaders were the kids, Orland, and Sekou and Dwayne, and
Hmm.
these guys were the scout leaders that ran the troop. I mean, they empowered young teenage men, boys, to teach other boys how to set an example, be mature, clean up behind yourself, how to be
Mhm.
accountable. So Orland for me was such a leader. We didn't have to go say, Mr. Hawkins, could you, Mr. Coleman, could you, Mr. Wilson. We went to Orland. We went to the boy leaders, young men leaders for for direction. How to start this fire, how to pitch this tent. I'm cold. I don't think I bought enough socks. And man, when I wanted to joke and clown, Orland, he wasn't straight faced. He was so patient. You were so patient.
Thank you.
You had the information. You had the man. It just and this was again when the community was on fire,
Yeah.
and when we didn't want to be at scout meetings on Saturday morning. This is what I saw when I was, like I say, between 9, 10, and 11. I saw other young men on that board behind you that had focus, that had maturity, and they had direction. They knew where they were going. And like you were saying, Ob, we're going to have to follow up and see where a lot of these men are today, because some of these guys have gone on to take 1650 lessons on into the world. So
Oh yeah, and I like how you mentioned it, that that leadership was so crucial and has been so crucial for most of us, including me. I mean, I think about those Cub Scout and Boy Scout skills that you took on in real life. I mean, you take on, my current occupation, and I have occupation in my businesses. There's two separate groups. Is a CFO, Chief Financial Officer. How do you build a strategically plan the finances, the teams, the internal controls, the compliance? That started with the small emphasis of PAC 1650, Troop 1650, working with people such as yourself and saying, oh gosh, okay, I better figure this out. They'll just ask me a question. I better have an answer, because it's our responsibility. Like you said, we're responsible to support you. And you only really went to the leader when it was something on a higher level. You needed to know, you needed to study, learn, train, work with them to support you so that you'll learn. And then when it's your turn and you're the patrol leader, senior patrol leader, you know the information too. And we're passing down this knowledge, this training, this great information about how do we build. And, yes, it was in a scouting format, but then when you go in the professional world, you still know how to build a team. You still know how to work with people of different levels. The person who knows so much to the person who's like, I'm at ground one. And you're like,
yeah,
okay, I need to get this person to 10. So
yeah,
you have to figure it out.
yeah. It's huge, like you say. Again, at the time, you don't realize how influential and how meaningful the pack and troop are to you. 1650. I mean, we had so many quality awards everywhere we went. We just we dominated.
It
It was
is.
like we were the dream team, and we held ourselves so high. We didn't even know how clean and how cut we were, man. But we all read that manual. We all knew that we had lineage. We had to keep the respect level for this area, this neighborhood, our names, our scout masters, our Conan and Sekou. We had to keep this going.
Oh, yeah.
And when we showed up, man, they knew we were there. We handled ourselves. Again, I'm going back to at a young age,
Oh, yeah.
10, 11, 12,
Mhm.
we conducted ourselves, like you say, with discipline, structure, accountability. So that being ingrained into us, whether we were in DC or in Virginia or in other sites,
Yeah.
we kept that all the way through our entire lives. And again, I didn't know, but when people would see me on the jobs or where I was going, they would say something's different about this cat, man. And it was definitely Troop 1650, Pack 1650. It wasn't just Eagle Scout; it was that troop, that excellence, and all those brothers that that
Yeah.
watched and followed and continued that legacy. When I got to this ceremony, that plaque number 2 over there to the left, some of some of those guys, I'm like, who are these guys? Man, I was so impressed though. I'm like, oh
Mhm.
my God, what did we do? what did your dad do to these brothers, man?
Yeah,
Because some of these guys we had no hands on. We didn't have anything to touch on these guys. I mean, I left 94
yeah.
and I'm down here. I'm down on the plaque over there. So all of these guys, man, the respect and how impressive they were speaking at this closing ceremony uh, is, like you say, it carried on into their regular lives. And what do you see for the future? You said you wanted to touch on this a little bit.
Well, my future and a couple of things I've been doing.
Yeah,
Number one, as my current track has taken the CFO track.
yeah,
The next track for me is to be the COO or the executive director or the top person. That's the next track. You must continue to build, grow, and elevate yourself. So my track is either doing that or to have my own separate consulting firm to support people to be successful. I have
yeah.
20 something years of experience in this field, and I want to make sure people are successful. I want
Okay.
to make sure people are not, when people see numbers, many people get scared.
Yeah,
And numbers is 1 + 2 = 3.
yeah.
People don't understand it's a very basic thing. You brought money in, you brought funds out. So, my big picture is bringing that to the next level
Okay.
on one side, but also do things such as, talking to people such as yourself to say, okay, how can we simplify life? People
Yeah,
make things too deep,
yeah.
too a lot of things. Let's just be very simple, very easy. Um, so getting to that level, as well as bring my writing out. I mean, you may not even know it. I have a book of poetry out. It's,
Okay.
yeah, it's
All
called
right.
Poetry for the Brothers and Sisters. You can
Okay.
get it on Amazon. I always tell people it's right there. Um, and it takes you back to that time when I was a kid. Because I
Okay.
wrote it or started it when I was literally in end of high school, early college.
Okay.
But I didn't put it out until COVID. So
Okay.
literally, this has been a work in progress. A passion I never got out until then. I took the time to say, I'm gonna put this out, and it tells you the perspective of a young African American guy from the inner city. These are things I faced. These are things I had. So I have a myriad of things, such as I know you do as well, that I look forward to bringing out because this is life. Live your life, enjoy your life,
Hey.
and that's crucial for me. To do that in the professional world, the writing world, and then I do a little real estate. So
Hey.
it is getting these buckets to help elevate us to a very wonderful, very relaxing state, so that we grow comfortably.
Yeah. OB, listen, guys, he's been this same cat since 13, 14. I'm telling you, nothing's changed about this guy. He genuine. He comes to this ceremony the other day with his entire kids. The first thing Daryl, this is my son. Daryl, this is my daughter. And I'm like, man, this guy, just this is the genuine Wilson lineage. His family is important to him. This is what I'm talking. So TDMS is bringing guys like Orlan to you to invest with, to seek knowledge from, to ask for help, and to again create community with. Everybody that I bring on is reachable, is a real person. Reach out to these people. OB is there to help you. Genuine guy from this entire life. And we were talking before we came on the show a bit about how everybody on that plaque, OB and I would like to run down each
Hmm.
person's story and journey. Everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has investment opportunities. Everybody has entrepreneurship energy. Everybody has time and space to share and create with. OB, man, hey, listen, the CFO of the future, the guy that's going to bring you poetry. Give us that book so I can kind of plug it for you.
Okay, okay. I definitely will share it with you. I mean, it's called Poetry for the Brothers and Sisters. Now,
Okay.
I have A's at the end, so it's not brother, it's brother and
Uh-huh.
sister.
Okay.
Um, and like I said, you look on Amazon, it will pop right up. It will say under OB Wilson. Um, and like I said, it was a passion of the heart. It was something that I remember my mother said, may she rest in peace, said, it's something you love to do. Get it done, finish it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And I was blessed to be able to finish it, get it out. Um, because that's what we have to do in life. Just live and enjoy it, write it, be free.
Yeah.
And I will let you or everyone know that though Daryl's modest about some things, he also had his son at this event. So, he brought out his son so he could see
Yeah.
his story. Because similar to what we said about for the scouts in this list, one of the things that I'm doing for my children is I'm writing my story. I want them to hear from my voice, from my words, this is what your dad has faced. Now, I'm not going to give them everything right now because
Yeah.
some things you
Yeah.
have to be a little careful because they may glorify certain things I may have done, which may not have been the best choices. But it's just telling my story. I want them to hear from me and say, okay, this is what daddy faced. This is what daddy did. This is how he got to where he is and how he's still on the shoulders, like you mentioned. My
Yeah.
mother and father are phenomenal. My brother's a great guy. My
Yeah.
sisters are wonderful. My wife, my kids. I want them to connect with the story. And
Yeah.
once they see that, they say, oh, no wonder I am this way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we all wonder why my eldest son is a very entrepreneur. I call him a legitimate hustler
Okay.
because that's his spirit. He's always doing a deal. And
Yeah.
he wondered, I said, I understand your methods because anyone who knows me from school and other things, that's what I did.
Yeah.
How do I make this deal? How do I make this income? And
Yeah.
find other ways if I can't have a regular job, find some way. I mean, type stuff on the computer in college or,
Yeah.
write reports or give people something that they need to get the income you need.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Wow, man. TDMS. Hey guys, Orlan Wilson, Eagle Scout number 5, Troop 1650. And again, people that's just coming onto this TDMS site, we're kind of just growing, we're starting, but I do want to make sure we follow up with OB and we do this on a regular basis and just check in and keep empowering OB to be that great person that he's always been. Anything we can do to support each other, that's what this show is about. If anybody wants to connect with OB, please reach out to me or OB. OB, where can we find you, buddy? Is the email okay or?
Email is fine for me. I give the main one, which is this O.B. Wilson, the number 1 at gmail.com. So that's a direct connect to me. I have others that are managed by others, but that comes directly to me. So
Awesome, awesome, awesome,
unfiltered.
awesome, guys. Well, hey, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and we will do it again very soon. TDMS.